Welcome to the series on making a burrito pillowcase. This is for distance learning for Fremont Christian School, and this is our 8th grade sewing class project. You will find on Google Classroom the pattern for this project. I have already, in preparation for you being at home and not at school, I have already cut your fabric to the measurements prescribed here. What cutting you need to do from this point on, unless you have a rotary cutter and mat at home, you will need to carefully do with scissors. Let's begin on step 1. So I pressed my fabric. Step 2, I did for you, I believe. I cut your main body of fabric. I cut it 24 inches by the width of your fabric. So this should be about 24 inches. They may vary depending on the width of the fabric. I've cut off your selvages so that they are no longer there. If I haven't, this is a step that you'll have to do later. Okay, I've cut a cuff. Again, I went with the width of the fabric as it came off the bolt, and I cut 12 inches. This will be my cuff. Some of you have cuffs that match your fabric, others have a contrasting cuff. Just depends on what was given in your kit. Some of the fabrics I did not have a piece of fabric that really went with it, as well as the same piece. So some of you may have matching bodies and matching cuffs. And then all of you should have a 2-inch accent piece. This will be my accent piece on this pillow. Okay, so that was step 1, 2, and 3, and 4. In step 5, you are going to take this accent piece, and at the iron, you are going to press it in half. Make sure that you're pressing and not ironing. You don't want to stretch this out. If you stretch it, it won't be straight anymore. You want it to remain straight. Okay, so that was step number 5, to press this in half lengthwise. Step number 6. Open the main body and lay it on a table right side up. Some fabrics don't have a direction. The pattern is moving both up and down, but my piece of fabric happens to be directional. If you can see those little blue mice, if this is right side up, if I'm not careful, they're going to be on my pillowcase upside down, and I don't want that. So I'm going to lay it here. I have it right side up. I want to put my camera down now so you can see my project. Right side up. Okay. Step number 7, place the raw edge of the accent piece against the raw edge of the body. Yours may match because I've cut it already, but it's just in general a good idea to find the center of your accent strip by folding it in half and placing that center at the center of your main body fabric. So I'm going to do that. And I'm matching my raw edges. I want them even. And I'm going to place a pin in there, and I'm going to place it parallel to the edge of my fabric. You will see why in a later step. I'm now going to take these down to the edge of my fabric. It doesn't matter that mine is hanging over the edge. That is fine. I can cut off the extra later. Yours should come close to matching. Again, I'm placing my pin parallel to the edge, trying to get those as close as I can to being even. Okay, then I'm going to come and do the same on the other side. All right, and that should be enough. That should be enough pins for this step. If you want to, you can put in a few more. It never hurts. Okay, getting my raw edges even. I'm going to put in 2 more, 1 on each side. Okay. All right, now that my edges are even, I'm going to open up the cuff. And once again, my cuff piece is not directional. I have music notes going every which way, so it doesn't matter with my piece. But some of the fabrics it does. If you have a directional piece, you want your pattern hanging upside down. For instance, if I had mice on this, I'd want the mice ears down here and the bow tie of the mouse up here. I would want that pattern reversed. I'm going to lay the pretty side down, the right side of the fabric, down on top of my other 2 layers. And now I am going to get all those edges even. Yours may already be cut, mine is not, so I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to take out this pin, match all 3 layers, and put this pin back in. Again, it's going parallel. Okay, I come down here. I think I'm going to put in another pin. I've got all 3 edges. Make sure, see this one, bottom one wants to sneak down. Make sure that you keep them all even. If you do not, your accent piece will not look even when you're done sewing, and your seam may show, and you don't want your seam to show. Sometimes I find that when I'm pinning, the bottom layer creeps lower. So I have to make sure, I like to pin it off the table, holding it in my hand and making sure that all the layers are even. So I'm going to keep doing that. Can work them between my fingers to get all 3 even. Again, my pins are all going parallel to the edge of the fabric. This takes time. Be patient. Again, always making sure that my 3 layers, my cuff, my body and of the pillowcase, and my accent pieces, there's 2 edges of that are even. I'm going to finish up on this side. There is a reason why these pins are parallel at this moment. You'll see that in the next step. If my edges are not even, my accent piece is going to vary in widths. It will not look as nice. and I may have some edges of the fabric that I do not catch. Okay, we're moving on now to step number 8. Open up the cuff. Oh, we've done that. Okay. Open up the cuff. Match the raw edges, pin parallel. Step 9, we're going to turn up the cuff. Now I can see, because I pin parallel, I can see, get a visual of what it's going to look like for my accent piece, my cuff, and the body of my pillowcase. Now I'm going to start at the bottom of the body, and I'm going to roll a small, neat burrito, if you will. Okay, don't allow it to get too big. Keep that burrito kind of nice and small. Now I'm going to fold my cuff down, back over my burrito of main body. I'm going to grab all the layers and turn it securely, and I'm going to turn this over. Now, starting in the middle, I like to start in the middle. I can tell where the middle of my fabric is. I'm going to bring this up, and now matching all raw edges. Cuff, I've got edge of the cuff, I have the 2 edges of the accent piece and the body, and then another edge of the cuff. And I am going to take my pin out, and now I will pin perpendicular so that as I'm sewing along with my machine, I can pull out the pins. Since you're beginners, you might want to just bring in a few more pins at this point. Again, it is so important that you keep all layers even. I just had to pull up the inside layers. They were starting to creep down. Okay, and I'm going to work to the end. Maybe I want to come to this side and do a few more. You don't want this to be twisting on you. You want all the threads of every layer laying straight. If you have a twist, you need to unpin something and start over. And again, I'm switching and making these pins perpendicular. Again, paying attention that all my layers are even. This, once you are done, this completes step 9 on your directions for the Burrito pillowcase. Okay. I want you to stop at this point before going on and making sure that I check with you in class to see that this is matched and pinned properly.